Canada's Black Battalion were given an overdue and much-deserved national apology this past summer. The group of servicemen served in the First World War. Before they faced the enemy, they fought racism and discrimination at home. Senator Calvin Ruck is credited with bringing the battalion story forward, and his son Douglas Ruck joins us now with more. Good morning to you. Nice to chat with you again.
Good morning, Annette. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you.
So do you think that this summer's apology from the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister would have happened without your dad?
I would say highly unlikely. And not because there weren't others who were interested in having this take place, but because it was a story which was disappearing or leaving the memory of collective Canadians. It was becoming unknown. And if my father's book hadn't been written and circulated, that story would have been lost. I have no doubt about that.
And the book was written, he wrote it in 1987, called The Black Battalion, 1916 to 1920, Canada's Best Kept Military Secret. I want to just read a line here from the Prime Minister's apology. It was for the blatant anti-Black hate and systemic racism that was denied these men dignity in life and in death.
Right, yeah, that's a very telling and a very important statement made by the Prime Minister. And it was greatly appreciated that he said that. As a Black population as Canadians, we had waited 106 years plus to have this statement, to have those three words, "We are sorry," for those very things the Prime Minister mentioned.
Let's give a little bit of background for the many people who don't know and sadly don't know about the Black Battalion. So this was a group that was formed because there were so many Black people who wanted, Black men who wanted to become soldiers and fight in the First World War. They were denied that. So then they kind of came together, you know, argued for the government, let us serve, and they put them in a construction unit.
That's right. The war started in 1914, as we know, and young Canadians from across this country flocked to the enlistment offices. And there were young Black men as well, but they were denied. They were told, this is not your war. You're not needed. You're not wanted. This is a white man's war. They were told that those specific terms. They were not wanted. And in response to that, those men persisted. Others joined in with them, including part of the members of the white community as well, said they had the right to be part of the Canadian military. And eventually, in 1916, they were allowed to serve, but they were put into a segregated construction unit, a non-combatant unit. And when they served overseas, they went with pickaxes and shovels, not with the arms that were carried by their colleagues, by the white colleagues.
And in many times, they went before their white armed colleagues went in.
Well, they were, as a construction battalion, they were the ones who were called upon to build the railways, to do the construction work, to make sure that the troops had, in fact, the appropriate grounds and the appropriate facilities to work with. So they were the ones who, in fact, made the difference. They worked hard, they worked long, and they were not appreciated before they joined, they were not appreciated while they were there, and they were ignored when they returned home, which is once again why the apology was both not only necessary, but so long overdue.
And how are you helping to get the message out now?
Well, the very fact that you and I are talking is an important part of it. The very fact that the Black Battalion now becomes a part of most Remembrance Day ceremonies. The very fact that as we move forward, and I would say this to you with all due respect to the Prime Minister and to the Minister of Defense, what they did on July the 9th in Toronto, Nova Scotia was significant. But that's only a small step along the road to making a difference. Now we look at how do we ensure the memory is not forgotten? How do we ensure that our young people and other Canadians are aware of the men of the battalion? And part of that is through education, through setting up scholarships, to promoting and speaking the battalion, not just in African Heritage Month or Black History Month, not just on Remembrance Day, but as part of Canadian history. This is not Black history, it's Canadian history, and we all must know about this story.
Okay, Douglas Ruck, thank you so much for joining us. And the book again that your father wrote, The Black Battalion, Canada's Best Kept Military Secret. More people need to read it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye now.